What would you do if you were harassed at your job? Maybe you were harassed by a fellow employee at your workplace. What if you find a fellow employee stealing from your employer? Again, what if your supervisor is that person? Businesses and corporations can avoid high litigation costs and often can't find easy solutions to problems like these. An ombudsman, a neutral third party, can intervene and save the company money and help sort things out, allowing the employee anonymity to share information, allowing the right person to get that information. After all, you can say something to the wrong person and be fired. Whistleblowers, where do you go? Who can you reach out to? Don't be in a position that might cost you a job. The program today is about what is an ombudsman, which is a fairly new concept and a new idea that many corporations and companies are using. And to facilitate this program, I'll throw it off to Jeff.
Thank you for tuning in this evening. We're basically be talking about the business ombudsman and what they do and what the benefits are to businesses and corporations. And we've put together a list of commonly asked questions that come in on our website or people have asked us. And Catherine will be asking us the questions, and we'll be answering the same based on her questions and facilitating the conversation going forward.
How would you define an ombudsman?
I'll take this one, Jeff, if you don't mind. You can back me up if you like. The thing is, you need to stop the bleeding and whatever the problem the company is having. You need to remedy the wound and restore healthy business activity with a new, fresh outlook. That's how I look at it.
An ombudsman is basically, and we'll get into this as far as the other questions are, it's a neutral third party that goes into organizations and helps resolve conflict and put systems in place. And as we go forward with the interview, it'll become more clear as in regards to what we do.
Catherine?
How important is it for an organization to have a conflict resolution system and procedures in place?
I can take this one. It's very important to have procedures in place so when the issue occurs, you have something to go to and the policies rather than now you're scrambling, now what do? You have a high conflict situation at work. It could be employee-employee, employee-manager, manager-manager, manager-employee. And if you don't have a system in place, then chaos is created. Somebody goes and files a suit, and an attorney's involved, there's litigation costs. Why not have on retainer or somebody that you use that goes in there as a neutral third party who's not an employee to the company, so they have no loyalty to the company or to the employee or whatever the parties may be, and try to resolve the issue, get to the underlying issues between the parties, and come to an amicable resolution right then and there within a session or two.
You know, to add to what you're saying, one of the things that can happen, unfortunately, is a company can completely go down by somebody litigating an issue inside the company that an owner or a supervisor may not even know. So it's important to keep the company functioning properly so that other people don't lose their jobs, if you want to think about the whole entire picture. And we should be using whatever facilities we have as ombudsmen to help us move something out of the way that is in the way.
Right. And ombudsman is very similar to mediation or being a mediator. Both Chris and I are qualified mediators. I'm doing it for many years. And who better, like I said earlier, than to go in as a third-party neutral person and help resolve these issues, saving companies a lot of time and a lot of money.
Why can't these issues be resolved on a case-by-case basis as they occur?
To me, just real quick, the case-by-case means that there's something in law that needs to be followed in some kind of suit. And the way that I see an ombudsman work would be more or less similar to what a mediator does as a neutral third party, as you said before, to incorporate what the real problems are hand-to-hand, eye-to-eye, face-to-face, without having to have a set of protocols interfere and muck up the works.
And as I talked about earlier, it's similar to having the procedures in place. So when there is a conflict, then the ombudsman get called in. And they come in and they meet with the parties, maybe get a little bit of background, and again, a case-by-case basis, what do you do? So now Mary says to the owner of the company that John is sexually harassing her, and I'm taking this to court, and I've already got an attorney. And well, wait a second, if our policies and procedures say you agree that we'll mediate and we have an ombudsman program here, and that's the first step before the litigation process, or you can even have it instead of. You know,
Sorry, this
you have
is
an arbitration. You could have, you know, so many other options
a
that are much
company
more
plan.
effective.
You're talking about a company plan that already states that
That already states what happens
avoid
if something
that.
happens,
Okay, that's,
right.
yeah. And that's exactly the other thing that we do.
Is the corporate ombudsman different from one in nursing homes and healthcare?
It's a good question, Catherine. People are more familiar with ombudsman in a healthcare or nursing home setting, and it is similar. It's not exactly equal. In a nursing home, for example, the state trains ombudsmen, and they're neutral third parties, and everybody gets assigned, an ombudsman, once certified, gets assigned a nursing home or two to visit. And they're required to go 2-3 days a week, anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, to speak to the residents of the nursing home to kind of see what's going on. Are they happy? Are they being treated okay? How are the meals? Are they being harassed? And then the ombudsman produces a report to the nursing home management so they know what's going on, for no fear of retribution against the clients or the people who are there, or the staff who are treating them. And this is a way for an organization to know how their system is running, whether it's effective, without fear, again, of maybe the residents going directly to management, and then, you know, kind of all hell breaks loose.
And to add what you're saying, Jeff, is the natural reality of someone older in the health environment, but their mental health may not be as completely on board as maybe they would like as they get older. So some of the things that we do is hear through a different ear. We're not hearing somebody who's tuned in at 25 years old and has got all those electronics together and knows exactly what to say in the culture that they have. We will listen in terms of what an older person may have to deal with, and we are more familiar with it. And that's, you can carry that same idea through to corporations.
Correct.
In terms of having a better ear, so that we're in tune more with the company actually is looking at and what they really need.
And you could do the same thing. You can make it a little bit more anonymous. Again, in a nursing home scenario, maybe somebody's afraid to say something to someone. They could remain anonymous, and you could just report it as an issue that's going on. And you might have 3 or 4 people with the same issue. The same thing with the ombudsman program. As an organizational corporation, you have the system in place, then the employee can actually contact. Let's say we're on retainer for your organization or company. So we call. We say, hey, you know, Jim, we got a complaint or 2 or 3 complaints about Mark, who's a supervisor in X department, and there's similar complaints. This is what's going on. We're not divulging any names right now, but this is something that needs to be resolved. And that's a more calm and more neutral way of
it's also
evaluating these things.
a flag to the company that
That
lets
it's going
them
on.
know that something is actually going
Rather
on
than be
here,
too late.
and rather than have it come back and act them. So the service is an invaluable service for a corporation or business that's running and may be too far removed from the locality of the issue in hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How does the business ombudsman service work?
Go ahead, Jeff, you can start.
Basically, a company will go into an organization and see what their concerns are. Do they have a conflict resolution procedure in place? Maybe they need their manuals rewritten and put the right language in there to have a procedure in place. Maybe there's productivity issues. What if a lot of employees are coming in late, leaving early? They're not being productive. They're not, you know, we can be like the eyes and ears of the organization and kind of go in there and watch what's going on and evaluate and come up with a report. So we'll listen to the concerns of the organization, see what their main concerns are. We'll go in there, we'll look and evaluate what's going on, visiting with the different people in the organization, if that's what it takes, and put together a proposal and then work from there. And we could be either on a retainer on a regular basis, where we provide services all year round. It could be a 6-month program, it could be a 1-month program, it could be a follow-up 3 months from now. Follow-up is very important. You can't just go in, even if you go in the best case scenario and you fix a problem within a month, you can't really effectively fix that problem without following up, whether it would be us going back in or the company having something in place 3 months, 6 months, a year later to follow up to make sure what we put in place is working. Mm-hmm. And we could tweak it if it's not.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to what you just said, because you covered most of the bases, is the policy issue. Some companies, corporations, some nursing care facilities, they don't have great policy. They use their Health and Human Resources Department, or the Human Resources Department.
And there's an issue with that.
And because they're being paid by the owner of the company.
Absolutely.
We're hired out to be neutral. There's a huge difference in how we're dealt with from an anonymous position, third-party neutral, rather than somebody who's hired who has, well, could deal with this later, and who knows what other kind of reports they have to
And
do.
even to use that example, right, they're being paid directly by the company, they have a loyalty to the company, so they really can't be neutral. And so the next question would be, well, isn't the corporation paying you as an ombudsman? Well, that's true too, but again, we have no loyalty. We're not there on a day-to-day basis. We're going in there for the sole purpose of looking at something as a neutral third party to fix the situation. So we would have the proper paperwork and confidentiality agreements and things like that the owner would sign. And again, we're not afraid to tell it like it is, because we're not in fear of losing our job at the company, whereas a human resource person may have that fear.
Right, neutrality being the key.
Is this the same as having a mediator or arbitrator, and are decisions binding on the parties?
Let me have this first. I always found it interesting that a decision needs to be made when you're in court, and a decision has to be made when you're litigating something. But sometimes a decision does not have to be made immediately. Sometimes a discovery, well, I'm using the word discovery because it's a legal word, but actually what it is finding out and listening with that neutral third ear that determining where to go is critical in solving problems. You can't determine because somebody had a specific behavior that specific behavior is automatically attached to the problem. We have to find out whether it was a repercussion, whether there's a family member involved. Who knows what the reasons are? There's millions of reasons. So it's a little different, and we don't have to worry about the decision aspect to it as much.
And the basic difference is, without getting too technical, between mediation and arbitration is mediation generally is non-binding. The parties have a say in what the outcome is in regards to an agreement or something like that, whereas in arbitration, the arbitrator will make a decision based on the cases presented by the parties, and is generally binding. So that's the Reader's Digest version of the two, just so you can differentiate.
What are the benefits to a company or organization to have a business ombudsman?
Let me start there. The primary thing of major benefit is the huge costs involved in solving a problem you're too far removed from. If you're a business owner and you just look at the simple fact that how many things can you tie in? If you had 50 employees, would you be able to know the nature and cause of what one of the problems might be with one of the employees? And the likelihood is not there. You may know of an employee that's a particular standout problem, but that may not be all you need to know. So the major advantage is a huge cost factor in avoiding litigation.
And as we discussed earlier, you have a procedure in place so the employees or management know they have somewhere to go to, and it doesn't extend or get to a point where it's uncontrollable. So you can use any one example. Let's just say, again, a supervisor is sexually harassing people at work, and he's doing it not just one, but 3 or 4. And without a system in place, management doesn't know what's going on, and by the time they find out, it's 10 people that have a problem, and it's too late. It's too late to do anything. So you have a system in place that people feel comfortable going to when they call the 800 number and say, look, this is the issue, or send an email. We could jump right on it, find out what's going on, let management know what's going on, and stop it from escalating any further.
See, knowing that you're speaking to an ombudsman and you're not speaking the same way to a supervisor or an owner of a company or somebody in charge of that particular employment, we guarantee the anonymity aspect. So we provide a platform for where problems can be solved in a way that no one inside that company can do. It's certainly a different type of listening. It's a different type of problem solving that we can afford to give.
And not only that, if any problem that we as ombudsman work with maybe leaves the ombudsman process and goes to litigation because it's too serious, at least you could show the steps that you had procedures in place, and this is what we did, rather than getting punitive damages and companies going to bankruptcy because of fees and things like that.
There's no disadvantage to following up the way Jeff just had said it.
Would a business have to budget in a regular monthly or annual retainer fee?
Well, it depends on the case and what the company needs. Again, we go in, we offer a free consultation, usually spending at least 1 to 2 hours with the point of contact to see what they need, and then within 24 to 48 hours coming up with a proposal as far as the needs, and at that time we'll discuss and as far as what the costs are and doing what we need to do.
Yeah.
And we work with companies as far as within their budget.
And a lot of it depends on the nature of the issue, which can't be solved necessarily in one meeting. Sometimes it takes a second meeting. But a decent proposal or an idea of what's involved may very well follow in, like you said, in a 24 to 48 hour period. but sometimes the problem may not be immediately available in terms of locating and identifying the problem. It may take a second meeting or sometimes even a third meeting. But this is all incorporated in what fee arrangement we make.
And a good example is a recent case that we had finished last year. We had a 3-month project with a home health aid agency who had issues with employees not retaining employees, showing up on time, compliance issues with the health department, if you remember the HIPAA compliance and things like that. Home health aides is a very important job. The people who are being taken care of rely on the person to be there. When they don't show up, it's a major issue. Okay. So we went in there and, we talked to the home health aides, and there were issues with, with pay, and they, everybody said nobody's going to say they get paid enough or they get paid too much. There was a benefits thing. There was no incentive programs in place. Paperwork wasn't being followed up on. It had to be filed with and having the actual file.
Decisions being made about the supervisory positions.
Right. So when the Department of Labor came in and looked through folders, there were all kinds of fines and things go on. Mm-hmm. We were able to correct all that by coming in, again, as we said earlier, as a neutral third party, looking at it from the outside. You could be in a company and work for 10, 20 years, 5 years. After a certain amount of time, you have that tunnel vision, and you just can't see what's going on. And it's much easier for us to come in and take a look at procedures and make adjustments, suggestions, and help them move forward.
What other services other than conflict resolution can a business ombudsman provide?
Well, there's the whistleblower, which you're on top of what the whistleblower is. You want to explain what that is?
Whistleblower is basically nobody should be in fear of reporting something that's going on that's not legitimate. Maybe somebody's stealing, faking expense reports. What are some other examples? There's a lot of them. It's like some major stuff that you might be afraid. What if that person is the CEO? Yeah. And you want to tell the owner, say, look, this guy's using a company vehicle for whatever, or credit cards, or taking money out of petty cash.
There's personal relationships, personal injury. There's people that knock each other around. There's all kinds of things that can come up. So a whistleblower is important to connect with somebody like an ombudsman who's outside of the realm of the dealings within that company.
Right. I mean, you as a CEO who's maybe not there all the time, and you have somebody running your company, you'd want to know something like that's going on. And you'd also want to feel comfortable enough that the employee or manager could tell you that without fear of retribution.
And that nobody's teaming up on the inside to cover for one another, which is another good...
Which happens when they're prepared and know something like that's going on. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we want to thank everybody for listening to us. And Jeffrey, thank you very much. I'm Chris Maggio, Ombudsman, and Jeff Bloom,
Ombudsman.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green. By keeping my car regularly tuned, I save money on gas and repairs. That also means cleaner air. Feels good to help save the cash, planet.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more tips, go to getgreen.com.
Introducing the all-new Enclave. It's a minivan to the max, with features like remote control sliding rear doors, 150 cable channels, a full sky view roof, temperature-controlled cup holders, and the 6-point navigation system. It's the minivan for families on the go.
week we return all our cans and bottles. Yeah, we help to reduce the world's waste.
But aluminum? It's like gold. Oh, yeah.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more environmentally friendly tips, go to getgreen.com.
Oh, there's a bottle.
Where?
Right over there. To your left. To your left. There you go. You got it.
Sweetheart, smoke outside now. You promised.
Okay, hon.
Sweetheart, smoke outside now. You promised.
What kind of man are you? I'm a father. Look here, my father was a father, and he smoked his brains out in the house.
Watch as he blows those smoke rings on my little red face.
You probably have asthma.
Asthma? Schmasma. I'm telling you, nothing's gonna happen to your kids. I swear.
Don't swear when you're lying. You know very well that thousands of kids get bronchitis, ear infections, and even pneumonia from their parents' cigarette smoke. And didn't you promise your little angels you'd smoke outside?
Hey, Daddy.
Those little devils are just so sweet.
Do the right thing.
Please, smoke outside.
Until you can stop, go out for your kids.
Take the pledge. Call 1-800-513-1157.